Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and anything else while we try and drag this whole mental health thing back to where it's supposed to be. Now, today, we're going to talk about turtles. Mostly of the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety. Because this Friday was pre-release weekend. Well, I mean, the whole weekend is pre-release weekend, but I typically only go to the one on Friday, which is the Two-Headed Giant with my cousin. Regardless. So, we actually got together early, picked up some ramen from a place, and had dinner together, and then went up for the pre-release. I will say, not a ton of people at this pre-release. I think we had 16 total, so 8 teams, which is something I've noticed primarily with the Universe Beyond sets. They tend to not be terribly busy pre-releases. Like, I know I didn't go to the Spider-Man one. That was mostly because I just didn't have any money that weekend, so I probably would have if I could have. But that's just because me and my cousin always go together to play in the Two-Headed Giant pre-release. And as far as the turtle set goes, I wasn't terribly excited in it until I finally sat down and looked at some of the cards, and then I was pretty interested. So yeah, we sat down, we got through our spiel, we got our kits, and on the drive up, I had been telling my cousin the number one card I want to open is the 4 mana rare Wrath that just gives all attacking creatures double strike. And the one after that was the Wrath and Mikey Troublemakers, which is the 7 mana 7/7 with trample and haste that lets you flip cards off the top of your library until you hit a creature. So I opened my pack, and my promo was Wrath and Mikey Troublemakers. And it just felt right. So as we're opening packs, my cousin also opens a Wrath and Mikey Troublemaker. So now we have 2. And so we're sitting there going, well, is it okay if I go Gruul and then splash black for 2 or 3 cards? Because we had 3 of the lands that you can sacrifice to get a basic, but also Raph and Mikey can cheat stuff in from, the deck. And we had 2 of the... I know it's not Armageddon, it's Armageddon? I don't know. We're calling it Armageddon. It's the 9/7 for 6 black, and then it has flash, and when it enters, destroy up to 3 target creatures. Did not, unfortunately, get to live the dream of attacking with Raph and Mikey and then flipping that off the top. But, we did get to attack with Raph and Mikey and flip Slash off the top, which is the 7/5 for 3 red that has Alliance, so whenever another creature enters, he does 2 damage to each opponent, and then whenever he attacks, you make a 2/2 mutant. Needless to say, my deck was quite sick. And then my cousin, for round 1, started on a white-blue artifact list that just did not perform well. So between 1 and 2, we were kind of looking at well, if you shifted to this secondary color or this secondary color, and it turns out the correct answer was to have him go red, blue, but not steal any of the stuff out of my deck because he primarily cared about artifacts. So he had the Don and Leo dual card, the problem solvers. That's it. which is the like 4/6 with vigilance, but at the beginning of your end step you can flicker up to a creature and an artifact. And it got to the point where if you ever landed him with any of the like artifact creatures that when they enter make a robot, it just grew exponentially out of hand for anybody to deal with. And yeah, so that's how we ended up going 3-1. We That first round was just a little unfortunate. Like, I just did not see anything but lands and 7-drops, and Nate just couldn't keep up with what the other teams were doing. But yeah, I mean, it was still a lot of fun. Had a good time. Yeah, that's kind of it. Like, had a good time, and we'll do it again next time, which will be for the new Strixhaven set. I believe that's next month. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'm going to talk about a deck that I'm very excited that I put together. Yeah, that's it. I'll be right back. And we're back. Now, I sat here after the pre-release and, kind of was looking through stuff and taking stuff, apart and putting stuff away. And I grabbed the Raph and Mikey Troublemakers that I had pulled, and I just kind of sat it there and I started going through things because I had this idea the night before. So, let's just start with the commander. So Raph and Mikey Troublemakers is 5 and 2 hybrid Gruul for a 7/7 mutant ninja turtle with trample, haste, and whenever they attack, reveal cards from the top of your library till you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So something I was thinking about was just like, well, we want to ramp super hard. And so a lot of my like lower mana costs are just dedicated to ramping. And that's fine, but you don't necessarily want to get stuck with a lot of high mana value creatures in your hand. And that's where I came up with the thought of, well, what about all of the creatures that have, like, in this case, mountain cycling, forest cycling, or basic land cycling? And that's where a good chunk of this deck's creatures kind of came from. So just to go down the list, we have Hilgigas, which is a 5/4 with trample and haste for 4 red. It has mountain cycling for 2. Generous Ent is a 5/7 tree folk with reach for 5 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, you create a food token, and it has forest cycling for 1. Balam T-Rexar is a 6/6 dinosaur with trample. When the creature enters, you gain 3 life for 4 green, and it has forest cycling for 2. Timberland Ancient is 4 green for his 6/5 tree folk with reach and trample, and forest cycling for 2. Oliphant is 5 and a red for a 6/4 elephant with trample. And when it attacks another target creature you control, gets +2/+0 and trample till end of turn, and mountain cycling for 1. Furnace Host Charger is 5 and a red for a 5/5 Phyrexian Giant with haste and mountain cycling for 2. Ruin Grinder is 5 and a red for a 7/4 construct with menace, and when it dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards, and mountain cycling for 2. Bedhead Bestie is 4 red for a 5/6 beast with menace and mountain cycling for 2. Rocksteady Crash Courser is 4 green green for a 7/7 Rhino Mutant. He has... What's the opposite of menace? He can't be blocked by more than one creature. I'm surprised we haven't keyworded that yet. And boars you control can't be blocked by more than one creature. There aren't any other boars in the deck, don't worry about it. And it has 4 cycling for 2. Next we have the Slavering Branch Snapper, which is 4 green green for a 7/6 lizard with trample and 4 cycling for 2. Seismic Monstrosaur, 4 red red for a 6/5 dinosaur with trample, and for 2 and a red and sacrificing a land to draw a card, and mountain cycling for 2. Then we have the any guys, like Kulroth Zealot, 5 and a red for a 6/5 elemental warrior. When it enters, exile the top card of your library until your next turn you may play that card, and it has basic land cycling for 1 and a red. Next we have Croson Tusker, 5 green green for a 6/5 boar beast. Oh, I guess we do have a boar. It's just this one. It has cycling for 2 and a green, and when you cycle the Tusker, you can search your library for a basic land card, reveal the card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. And then just because we're talking about cycling, we also have Yadaro Wandering Monster, 5 red red for an 8/8 dinosaur turtle with trample and haste, and cycling for 1 and a red. When you cycle Yadaro Wandering Monster, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you cycled a card named Yadaro Wandering Monster 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. And I know there's more of them out there in both red and green, but those were just the ones I had on hand as I was going through stuff. And then I just kind of started grabbing big stuff, you know what I mean? Like, sure, some of it does stuff, but sometimes it's just a ghoul tree, which is 7 and a green for a 10/10 zombie tree folk. It costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. But, you know, you might just swing into a 10/10. Speaking of vanilla, we also have Tarion the World Tyrant, which is 2 green 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 for a 9/7 dinosaur ooze. That's it, that's the card. But then we also have stuff like Triplicate Titan, 9 mana 9/9 golem with flying, vigilance, and trample. When it dies, you make a 3/3 golem with flying, 1 with vigilance, and 1 with trample. We have the Colosseum Behemoth, which is 5 green green for a 7/7 beast with trample, and when it enters, either destroy an artifact or enchantment or draw a card. We have the Sire of 7 Deaths, which is a 7 mana 7/7 Eldrazi with first strike, vigilance, menace, trample, reach, lifelink, and ward, pay 7 life. We have Dragonlord Atarka, which is 5 red-green for an 8/8 Elder Dragon with flying, trample, and when it enters, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control. We have Uvenwald Hydra, 4 green green for a star Hydra with reach. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, which at the very least is going to be 7. But when it enters, you can search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So if you're stuck on 6 lands and haven't hit your 7th to play Raph and Mikey, this gets you your 7th. Next up we have Itali, the Primal Storm, the OG, 4 red red, 6/6 Elder Dinosaur. When it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. When you may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana cost. Important to note, he does have them entering tapped and attacking, so they will not get their ability until the next turn if they survive. Next up we have the Itali Primal Conqueror, 5 red red for a 7/7 Elder Dinosaur with trample. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among them this way without paying the mana cost. And then for 9 and a Phyrexian green, you can transform Itali, activate only as a sorcery, and he becomes Itali Primal Sickness, an 11/11 Phyrexian Elder Dinosaur with trample, indestructible, and when it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. Next up, we have the Fiendish Duo, which is 4 red for a 5/5 Devil with first strike. And if a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage to that player instead. Next up, we have the Archetype of Endurance. 6 green for a 6/5 boar. Oh, I guess I do have another boar. Creatures you control have hexproof. Creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and can't have or gain hexproof. Next up, we have the Combustible Gear Hulk. 4 red, 6/6. Construct, first strike. When this creature enters, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the player doesn't, you mill 3 cards. When this creature deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. And the couple of times I've just goldfished this deck, I don't think the Gear Hulk has done less than 7 damage. And that was hitting a 7-drop and 2 lands. So, fairly high probability of doming somebody for a lot if they pick the mill option. Next up, we have Ulamog's Crusher. 8 mana, 8/8 Eldrazi with Annihilator 2, and it attacks each combat if able. Next up, we have the Geode Golem. 5 mana, 5/3 Golem. Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, you gas your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. It's there for when Mike and Rafi cost something like 20 mana. Next up, we have the Quake Strider Ceratops, which is 3 green for a 12/8 dinosaur. We have the Decimator of the Provinces, which is a 10 mana 7/7 Eldrazi boar. There's more boars in here than I thought. It has a merge for 6 green, which means you can cast a spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by that creature's mana cost. When you cast a spell, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trampled till end of turn, and it has trample and haste. Even if we just rip this off the top and don't cast it, it's still just a 7/7 with trample and haste. Next up, we have Ghalta Primal Hunger. 10 green for a 12/12 Elder Dinosaur. Spell cost X less to cast for X the total power among creatures you control, and trample. So, if we can hit this off of the top of the library, it's just a 12/12 with trample, and if we don't, I don't think we ever pay more than 2 green for this guy, because, well, just with Raph and Mikey out, that's 7 off, which makes him 4. Or 5, sorry. So anything else just pushes him to being double green. Next up, we have Durakaseth, the Maw of Flames. 4 red for a 7/7 dragon with flying. And whenever it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of 2 other targets. So again, won't get that the first turn, but if he survives, turns around, gets to do it. And then this one was actually a suggestion somebody else made about ways to protect Raph and Mikey on my turn. And they couldn't remember the name of it, but they said the wolf from one of the Commander Masters. And I found it while I was going through a box. It is Enara Wolvid Familiar. It's 3 green for a 4/4 wolf beast, and as long as it's your turn, commanders you control have indestructible. It has partner, but that plays no thing here. It's just a way to protect Raph and Mikey. Yeah. That's it. That's kind of like the whole thing the deck is trying to do. Like, yeah. Now I will say there's a few other commanders I'm looking at currently. The first one is the Don and Leo Problem Solvers. I feel like there's a pretty fun flicker deck in there. The other one is doing like a flying man with the Donatello Way with Machines. He's the one with flying, and whenever an artifact enters, you put a counter on him. Yeah. And then the again, the Raph I was talking about that gives all of your attacking creatures double strike. Honestly, I get my hands on 2 of them. I'd like to put one into this Raph and Mikey deck, and then the other one would be the mono red deck that I've been wanting to put together recently. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulvey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.